God, typical. I don't believe it. Right, so here I am filming a video that I may now never post. Oh, yes, I will, because I'm not going to stay live for long. Look at the camera. Yeah, I know. It's a long story. Let me shut this down. I'll say goodbye on this one. And say hello on this one. Oh, performance. I'm surprised today I managed to dress myself and actually feed myself. I've just had a bad day. And all that information's on that camera, which I now need to post. But the strange thing is, there were some comments on here, even though I wasn't live. Now I am actually live. The camera works quite well out here, doesn't it? Obviously, I can't move it. I'd have to pick the laptop up and start carrying it around, which I'm not gonna do. Anyway, hello to people. Live broadcast. This is not going to be very long, and I've got a cane poking me in the ribs here. Plants everywhere at the moment. But the laptop's sitting on a high shelf, the highest shelf. I had to move a couple of cattleyas out the way and some tolumnias. It sits up there quite comfortably. The camera is at a reasonable height. The light keeps coming and going on the camera. It's obviously doing some sort of adjustment, but people are obviously joining in there. It shouldn't be that much of a surprise that I managed to get it to flipping work. That was YouTube. YouTube basically had live broadcast blocked. I tried it again after a while and it's sort of come back up again. But I'd already tried it twice before I picked the other camera up. Good morning. What part of the world are you in then? It's late afternoon here. It's 4:30, rapidly heading towards food time. The story of this saga today, which I don't want another day like this for a long time, is on that camera. That will be posted as a normal video. This one will obviously just do its thing on YouTube now. But you sound a bit boxy. Not quite sure what that means. Boxy. I've got a sore throat. There's that. And there's people saying they didn't miss it this time. Well, you nearly did, because I've just done a half-hour video on the other camera because this wasn't working. And that's all I thought I was going to have. And then this just kicked in. So, so hi to people. I'm not going to keep this running long, sorry, and all that, but that's the Sunday chat really is there on that camera this time round. With all my woes and troubles and sorrows of the day, it really has been a bad day. So there's people saying, so this is the trouble with the size of this screen. The text that's good people are typing, that's whizzing up the side there at a rate of knots. I've got to get in a bit closer to be able to read that. I might be able to find a way of blowing that up a bit bigger. If I make it bigger, I won't be able to see as many items, but at least I'll be able to read them as they whiz past. Right. Has anybody else got a problem with the sound, apart from Insa? I tell you what it could be. Don't bear in mind I've just moved closer to the laptop to read the comments going up. So thanks for everybody dropping in. Say hello to people. Judy in Oz, it's 1:30 a.m. You should be asleep. You should not be messing about on YouTube. It's wine time. Yeah, it was wine time early today. It's just one of them days. Sound fine here. Right, an experiment. When I'm using my other camera, the microphones on there are quite high quality. There's a pair of them, so there's a stereo sound recording mechanism, and they are very clever at adjusting for distance to get an ambient volume. I don't know how good this laptop is, because the built-in microphone. So if I carry on talking and walk away from it, how much of a difference does it make now that I'm back here? Because don't forget, I can't hear the sound that's being recorded. Because if I could hear the sound that was being recorded, it would record it again. So it's been shut down. So that maybe it is a difference. But I would never be farther away than this. So this is as far away as I would ever get during a live broadcast, which is, it's nearly 2 meters. So it's a fair distance. So hopefully the microphone can still cope with that, being a distance away. Certainly I'm quite happy with the picture. The colors are not as true as on my other camera, but there again, that camera compared with the cost of a built-in camera on a laptop, that camera was more expensive than the laptop. So you see the difference. We've got 11:35 a.m. here. Well, that's semi-civilized, not for people like me. And 9:30 in other places. So Christine says she can still hear me fine, having backed away and come back in again. It's called wow and flutter in the music industry. I have not heard those expressions for 40 years. That was when people used tape to record things on. Wow and flutter. So when you didn't clean your heads off properly and the tape went across in a judder or had a wave in it. I remember those days. I worked in a recording studio for quite a while where everything went on tape. That was what you used in those days. It's all digital now. It goes straight on the computer or master deck or whatever you want to call it. Talking of music, the music quiz, one person got it but didn't quite answer it as I'd asked. Now, those clips of music, you have to appreciate that some of that music is not the sort of thing I would normally listen to. It was chosen because of the link, not because it's the sort of thing I'd listen to. I'd hate for people to think I sit down and spend the evening listening to Sweet. Nonetheless, they did do some pretty good pop tunes for Top of the Pops and all that sort of stuff. But the link was nothing to do with the music. You had to look at what you were seeing in front of you. So starting, I don't remember the order I did them in, but I think the first one was Peter, Paul and Mary. As a visual effect of 3 people standing, what was the thing that would be stunning? Mary Travis's hair. So the theme was just blonde. All the way through it, one or more of the main singers was blonde. Stevie Nicks, Justin Hayward, you sort of think that's all. It was that simple, but you had to use your eyes, not your ears. And I suspect everybody was trying to find musical links. I did give you a clue. I mean, come on, one of the bands was Blondie. You don't get much more of a hint than that. So anyway, the word was blonde that I wanted. One person actually said that all the singers are blonde, so they got the point. But the true answer would have been the one word blonde. So they're not, my little quizzes are not always hard. But see, and to me that should have been obvious, but obviously people were digging too deep, I think, there, and thinking too much and not just sort of stepping back a bit, perhaps. Anyway, so the answer was blonde. And as I said, not all of that music selected was the sort of thing I would listen to. The Moody Blues track, Ride My Seesaw, the band I was in before I went to college, that was our second set's opening number. That was our opening number in our second set. Goes along at a nice, goodly pace, shall we say. Used to tire the drummer out before we'd even got going. Right, so sound is obviously all okay. How are your springtails doing? Well, they're still living because I haven't dealt with them yet. I've just been doing other things, as the other video will say. They're not, I believe, any form of emergency. I do want them gone and I will deal with them, but it'll happen when I get round to it. It's not any form of emergency. And as far as I know, they are only bad on some mounts. I haven't seen any in a pot. And bearing in mind, these pots are close together. And if you, mind you, when I'm watering my mounts, that water doesn't get used for anything else apart from mounts. So I wouldn't be transferring it by watering the springtails from a mount into a pot. That's not going to happen. But yeah, and they're far from on all the mounts as well. So they will get dealt with. Did I get my wine shipment? No. Yes, it's funny actually. If you dig deeper into the springtail world, they tend to feed on decaying vegetation, that sort of thing. Yeah, and that's where they live, where there is some. What happens when they run out? Do they just die, or do they start eating things that are perhaps not quite so decayed? And I've seen a couple of write-ups where they will move on to live vegetation if there's a shortage of their normal food. So I want them gone. Anyway, the problem is they are not your normal springtails, not by a long shot. They are nothing like I have ever seen before, but I have now seen some pictures of some obscure types of springtails that look like beetles. So, and the silly thing is, who the hell is still calling them springtails? They need reclassifying. They haven't got a springtail. They're a little beetle. The springtails have got a springtail. That's how they go boing, boing, boing all over your pot. That's where they got their name from. These little beetles don't boing anywhere. So they could do with another name, couldn't they? Could be an indication that my mounts are breaking down. Yes, it is. Process of elimination is basically saying that this is more of a problem on my oldest mounts, which also means it's some of my dendrobiums that I've had around the longest. So yes, it is possible that finally some of the cork bark is starting to break down. So they found a home that they actually quite like. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. That's why they're there anyway. Why always organic mounts and not non-decaying clay stuff? Because I don't like clay mounts. It's not natural. There are very few orchids that will grow on clay naturally. At the end of the day, most of the orchids in here are epiphytes. They grow on trees, and I try and replicate their growing environment. And I know it sounds daft that a lot of them are in pots, but they're still growing in bark. It's still wood, yeah, even though they do attach to the clay pots in some cases. I don't like them. I've had a couple of plants delivered recently with clay mounts. I don't like them. They're heavy, and to get the sort of size I want from some of my mounts, if that was made of clay, I'd have a job to lift it. So I'll stick with what I know and what works for me. There are some YouTubers, one very high profile YouTuber, that's tried every single thing under the sun. So first of all, we're doing clay pots, then we're doing lacquer, then we're doing ceramics, then we're doing bark, then we're doing this, then we're doing clear pots, then we're doing non-clear pots. Plants never get a chance to settle, do they? You keep uprooting stuff and chopping and changing it. That's okay if you're getting new stuff in, but your existing collection needs to settle. Quite honestly, a lot of orchids will settle for whatever they're given long enough to settle. You see what I mean? They keep chopping and changing an individual plant is not the best of ideas. They do need time to acclimatize and settle into the media that you've chosen in your environment. As long as that's suitable, if you've got plants that need to stay moist that you cannot keep up with because of how you've planted them, then they're not going to do as well as if they were planted in or on something where you could keep up with them. So it's all geared up to you as well as them. It's not just the orchid. I mean, you could say that, you know, Phalaenopsis, communal garden, yeah, everybody's got them, growing on windowsills, growing on dining room tables, growing on plaques on walls, growing on shelves with artificial lighting, growing in cellars with artificial lighting, growing in greenhouses. Those individual plants are growing in virtually every environment you could imagine. They're not all doing well. because some of those environments are not suited to that plant. Plant likes to dry in between, yeah, and it doesn't like to stay soggy, like many epiphytic orchids, most of them, in fact. So, you know, if you've got a very warm place with high humidity, then your Phalaenopsis should be doing very well, and you wouldn't need to water them perhaps quite as often. You could put them in a media that held moisture longer because you've got the heat, and they'll use it, yeah. Whereas if you haven't got those temperatures and you keep them wet, that's going to be classed as soggy because they're not going to be using it because they haven't got the warmth to actually get that moisture through them and out through the leaves, out through the top. So a process that happens at a certain rate depending on temperature. Right, what's going on over here? Who's criticising everything over here? Right. There's people talking about springtail sex now. Oh, surely there must be something on telly that you don't need to talk about that sort of thing. Too busy renaming orchids, no time to rename them. Yeah, I can see that. What else have we got then? I burned my nose today on my veggie garden. Oh, out in the sun, right. I was just going to say, veggies aren't normally hot until you cook them, and that's not when they're in the garden. Yeah, see, there's somebody there. Like I had 2 clay mounts and the roots wouldn't attach. Yeah. Now, I tried leca for a while and my roots never attached. You know, when I took them out and decided not to use leca anymore, they weren't attached to any of those round clay balls. Not one. They just fell away. So they weren't attaching. Some of those orchids were attached to the inside of the plastic pot that the leca was in, but not the leca. So, yeah. They will attach to clay pots, though. I mean, my cattleyas are really grabbing hold of the clay pots. And one of the cattleyas, you'll be pleased to hear, has got to come out of its clay pot again soon. So we will do battle with that in the kitchen. That'll be fun. What's the weather like there? It's been cloudy all day. The sun hasn't popped out at all, which is not what the forecast said. The same as it wasn't what they said it was going to be yesterday either. Right. So I've missed a load of the comments. They've all whizzed off the top. I wonder if I can actually get them back down again. Because this is the trouble. I'm used to using my mouse. So actually, this is not as easy as it seems, taking this back up. But it's certainly not easy with one flip with 2 hands, is it? Right. So what's happening then? Let's see if I can get this back up and see what's going on. Will you stop it? I get annoyed with these little things because I keep touching them wrong, basically. And this is decided not to play ball at all at the moment. I can't grab hold of the scroll bar. It just won't let me do it. Come on. No, I'm not in the mood. I end up being cross. It's been one of them days. Somebody's doing better with the cocoa coir. You have to bear in mind there's an awful lot of the commercial nurseries, especially Netherlands and Germany, Germany, that swear by that stuff now. They're using it all the time. It's cheap. Yeah. And the way they grow their orchids in their environments, which are damn near perfect, it's an excellent media for them. It doesn't mean to say it will be for you, but it could be. It just needs care, basically. It holds an awful lot of water. And it hangs on to it. And it's one of those things that you look at it and it's wet. You know, soaking wet. You look at it again next day, soaking wet. Look at it the next day, it's bone dry. So it happened overnight. So you need to really watch your watering with it. But if you can get your head around it and work with it, and it doesn't need, you've seen me water, I pour loads of water through the pot. Well, at the moment, my hibiki is in that media. I don't pour loads of water through that pot. I just pour some around the edge and watch it and see it change colour. And then that'll do. Because it wouldn't drain through. It would hold. It would stay in the pot. Maybe you can get a salad pan. No, I'm calling lots more efficient than a laptop. I'm not buying any more kit. I've just bought a big telly, a sound system, a very expensive laptop. I'm not buying any more kit. I don't need any more kit. This will do its job. And this was not bought to do this. This was bought to do everything else I do at my workstation. And this is the best tool for the job. It's got a full-size keyboard with all the keys in the right place, and it links straight up to my big screen. So this does the job. Right, what else? Sorry, I can't scroll back up now. I'll have to have a look at these after. Martin, it's the Herco class. Martin's obviously asked something farther back up there and missed it. Tomatoes needed to go in the ground, right? I'm going to try my tomatoes in water culture this year. A lot of the commercial growers grow them that way. Well, hydroponics basically, but it's the same thing. They're not growing in anything. They're stood in water, and all their nutrients and everything flow through the water. They'll have to watch their pH, won't they? Because it'll be quite different to if they were growing in soil. Yeah, we've done that to death, I think. Which dendrobium is on your right, left? It looks so blue. Yeah, the camera is not getting that right. It is the Hercoglossom. This is pink. This is a lovely, delicate pink. It's not blue at all. So the camera's not rendering colors true. Looking at this, this is very pale and pasty on the screen I'm looking at, whereas it is actually a deep, deep color. So yeah, it doesn't get the colors anywhere near as good as the other camera. Even when the other camera is doing a live broadcast, but doing it with the other camera is a fiddly thing. This isn't. And for the sake of a few colors not being quite as true as perhaps they should be, which is not really what a live broadcast is about, is it? It's about it's about people concentrating on their comments and interacting with them, not totally ignoring them like I've been doing. Sorry. Right. Yeah, the colour of the video does seem a bit greyish blue. I wonder what it would be like if it was a sunny day and it was brighter overall in here. It's dull in here today, quite dull. If I brought my DSLR out here, I wouldn't be taking very good pictures. The light level's very low out here today. So, colours are not rendering as good as they could be. Apparently I'm breaking up. Well, it looks okay on here. Anyway, I'm not getting breakup. There's people still saying hello to each other. Everybody says hi to each other. I presume you are watching because you're here. You haven't fallen asleep this time. Like many, you end up missing it. And I've heard from quite a few people over the last couple of weeks that the notifications are not working all the time either. They seem to be okay for a bit and then they go off again, So for all leca growers, check the orchid room. Very good. Lady makes it a real science. I believe that if you work at it, you can probably make any media work for you. It might need some extra things going on for your environment, like air humidity and airflow and all sorts of things, different size and shape pots, etc. But in theory, you should be able to get an orchid to grow in or on any media that's not toxic. Right, I need food. So I'm going to leave it at that. Say sorry this is a bit shorter than it would have been, and sorry I haven't been concentrating on the comments whizzing up. Once this posts, it seems to take an absolute age, and this is strange as well. The one I did yesterday, I'm looking at it on the YouTube studio, and until YouTube posts it formally, I can't see it on YouTube. But others must be able to, because they're leaving normal comments underneath the video that for me doesn't even look as though anybody can see it yet. So obviously it must depend on what platform you're on. And then eventually the video got posted and the live chat wasn't there. And it was a couple of hours before that appeared. And that video, I don't know how long it was probably heading up towards an hour, whatever. But YouTube took about 7 hours to get that processed and get that loaded, fully loaded with the live chat. It's an awful long time, awful long time. But what's going on there, I really don't know. Anyway, I'm going to say bye-bye. I had roast shoulder. Oh, shut up. I'm having beans on toast. Like you believe that. Actually, I don't know what I'm having. I'll probably have a chili because it's quick and easy. All I've got to do is wait for the rice to cook, really. The chili portions are in the freezer. I've just got to get them hot. Microwave job. So I will probably have a chili. Actually, I'm supposed to be making a curry today. I don't feel like doing that. I've got everything to do it, but it's a big cook. Probably make 6 or 7 portions, and I can't be doing that today, so that's gonna have to wait till tomorrow now. So, whatever, I'm sure it'll be wonderful, and probably as soon as I've eaten it and I sit in the chair, I'm going to be sound asleep till the cats start bouncing on me. That's becoming a bit of a habit now in the mornings. Cats used to spend quite a bit of time up on the bed with me through the night, on and off, not all night, but they were there a lot of the time. And now they're not there hardly at all until it starts to get light. And then we have all this going on. Purr, 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 boing, 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 bounce, bounce, hiss, spit at each other. It's just basically so annoying that I end up having to get up. Otherwise, I might bring their little furry necks. So, you know, we're naturally getting up, heading back towards 4:30 now instead of 5 o'clock. So I'm getting up earlier now. I don't mind that. It's not a big deal. I've got things to do in those early hours, all this stuff. So one of my cats screams until I wake up and feed them. Mine are very, very good most of the time, but a lot of it is possibly that they've just finished their dishes earlier in the night. They are actually hungry, because I always put some food down when I go to bed, so they should have something to snack on during the night and not be ravishing first thing in the morning. And it could just be that they ran out early, you know, so they became hungry. Right, that's it. Now all I got to do is stop this. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for joining in. And I'll do something tomorrow. I haven't got a clue what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, but I must water my mountains. So it should have been done today. 2 days. It's only 2 days. It'll be 3 tomorrow, so it's not the end of the world. 2 of those were dull days. They'll manage. Right, so I'm going to go and get myself some food, and I'm turning this, just sort out, I've got to sort that video out, get it off the camera, get that processed and everything else. I can walk away from that. It's not too bad. This YouTube will just handle this for me. I'm going to do anything. I'll just let YouTube deal with this one. And the other one I'll get done and get that posted. So they'll both come up, I don't know, roughly the same time. YouTube's not going to get this in a viewable state probably for a couple of hours. I'm hoping to get the one off of that camera posted first, because it's logical, because basically that's the one I was using when this suddenly burst into life. So sorry that those that have only just joined, and sorry it wasn't an real orchid chat type thing today, but I haven't got the energy, running out very quickly. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining in. Oh God, I hate these things. I really do. Just do it, will you? Thank you. Right. Yes, I do want to end it. That's why I clicked the end button.